Hi everyone, this is Sreenidhi.
And this is Nireeha. And we made an app in Kotlin called GradeCrunch, which basically takes our grades in each class and calculates the final grade and helps us decide whether to choose credit or not.
So we're going to begin with the demo of our app. We already have the app running. So just to get us started, this is the main page of our app, just an introduction to it, the logo, and the users can click on Get Started. And once they do that, it takes you to the grades input page where a user can come in and type in the grade component. So let's say I took a class where I had a midterm. So I'm going to type in midterm 1, and then I also type in the grade earned, and then comma the weight of the grade. So how much does the midterm contribute to my final grade? So if I earned a 90% and each midterm is worth 20% of my grade, I'd enter it like that. Similarly, if I populate a few more just to get the whole thing to 100, midterm 2 I had an 85, let's say, with a 20, and then I had an essay, which I got a 90 on. This was worth 30% of my grade. And then finally, let's say I took a final exam or had a final presentation on which I got a 95, and this is also worth 30% of my grade. So you can scroll through, the users can scroll through these components, and then once they're done filling in all the components to their grade, they can click on the Calculate My Grade button. And this will take you to a page which will ask the user what's the minimum grade that they want to achieve in this class, or what's the sort of minimum letter grade that they would be okay with appearing on their transcript. So let's say in this class, the lowest grade that I'm okay with getting is a B. So I enter B, I click on Submit, and then this takes me to the final results page, which shows me what my current grade in the class is as a percentage. So I currently have a 90.5, which is an A minus, and it tells me that based on the input for my minimum grade, since I said that I would the minimum grade that I'd like to have is a B, it recommends that I keep the letter grade. Going back, let's say that instead of wanting to have a minimum of a B, let's say I wanted to have a minimum of an A plus. Now that's not going to happen. So if I click on submit once again, it tells me now that because the minimum grade that I wanted was too high, it recommends that I consider converting this class to credit for credit. And it also has a helpful timer at the bottom that tells me how much time I have left to make a decision on this. And this is based on the current credit no credit election deadline of May 6th. So at this present time, I have 4 days and 21 hours left. So I think what's a good idea to do now is to go ahead and start explaining what exactly is going on in our code. So we begin, of course, with the main activity, just simple introduction, and then that takes us to our activity input, which is just a button with a list view where the users can enter their grades. And each item in this list view comes from our input list view XML file, which just has our titles, and then it takes in our edit text with hints for the user to type in their component name and their grade and weightage. So the way that this that we have this laid out is we have the input main activity that takes in the values that the users has inputted, and then we have an adapter which takes the user inputted values and then populates them into an array list. And this adapter basically helps us communicate across the activities so that whatever the information that we get from the user in our their input activity, we can use that information, process it, and then display it in our result activity, which Nireeha will be explaining.
Okay, so we are finally in the results page, which is basically after all the calculations are done based on the user's input, we have the final percentage and the letter grade, and also the timer that shows how much time is left until May 6th. So now we go to the results activity, and we have, so basically the user's input that we take in is a string. So we have to convert that into double first and then calculate the final percentage. And then later on just check to which letter grade does it correspond to. And also check whether it comes above or below the minimum letter grade that the person has inputted. So then we can suggest whether to keep the letter grade or consider taking credit no credit. And we also have a timer function which just displays how much time is left until May 6th, 11:59 p.m. CST, of course.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.